Hi, everyone. How are you? So, this is a little behind the scenes peek of how I make some of my videos. I don't edit all my videos. Usually, with my tarot videos, I only edit it if this something went wrong. But I've been making some videos about the Meghan Markle documentary that the Royal Grift posted on her channel. She's been great with her research and finding this. And I also read Mark Crispin Miller, who's a professor, was a professor at NYU in propaganda before the leftists, woke students, communist students, woke is synonymous with communist, got him fired because he questioned the masks in 2020. So, anyways, but he analyzes the propaganda of the globalists and how it's used to manipulate us. And of course, Harry and Meghan are using, top grade propaganda, particularly from Meghan. And that's why it's worthy of study. And this particular documentary about inside the mind of Meghan Markle, right? Trying, seeing what it does. It's very clever in some ways. And it's enraging people, like most of the stuff Harry and Meghan do to enrage us all. But I think it's very therapeutic in a way because, if you just step back from this documentary and just look at it as the person who created it. I don't know if Meghan created it or someone else. I believe it was someone else because Meghan doesn't have the work ethic to make anything. She can't even make, a podcast without difficulties. So, but imagine if you're the one who made this. You're going to make a documentary about this woman, pretend it's somebody else, Jane Doe. Okay, so it kind of helps to watch the video, but think of it as if they're talking about somebody else that you don't already like know about and dealt with. And you can see what's going on here, just the basic structure of it. And I find this kind of thing fascinating. I want to learn more about it and I want to analyze more and more as time goes on. So, just to warn you, I'll probably put more, see how it goes. Because it's actually fascinating. And once you really look into it. So they start off this thing, talking, giving you the promise of you're going to get into her mind now. What makes her tick, right? And they introduce these psychologists, right? And they're all in the beginning. They give them their title. Well, first I should say they start with Hillary Clinton and Biden supporting Meghan and Harry. And then they introduce the psychologists. So you have to wonder or ask yourself, why would they start? If it's about Meghan Markle's mind, why are they starting with a Hillary Clinton clip and a Biden White House clip? So, right away, as already pointed out, this is a political propaganda. Now, the lots of glamorous videos throughout this, the main general breakdown of this is that there's glamorous shots of Meghan with commentary by these paid for psychologists in between. So it's glamorous shots of Meghan walking through the streets and shaking hands, and glamorous shots of Meghan on stage speaking, and then it cuts to a psychologist. So it's all dispersed. So this is like partly a glamour puss, documentary to make her seem so effervescent and popular and glamorous and all that. And of course, they use a lot of the wedding footage, right? Meghan and her PR is obsessed with her wedding day and constantly has pictures out there, videos out there, and constantly putting it out again and again to just, and I believe my theory is, or one of them, is to associate her with the royal family, right? We're not going to California and showing her in Montecito. They're with this documentary of going to her mind. They really focus in on this wedding, a lot of clips of the wedding, because this is the only time and the few clips, a lot of these clips are in the UK, which is interesting because she was only in the UK for a couple of years before she left. She's been more in the US. She's been in the US since 2020, Canada and the US. So we're in 2025. So 5 years, going on 5 years, she's here. She was only in the UK, the Royal, for 2 years, 2018 to 2019. So, but most of the clips from this are from the UK, and I believe clips I've never seen before. And that's, I believe, because they want to associate Meghan with the royal family. So it's a lot of royal family stuff here. So one of the, now that another main breakdown is the first part. You break into thirds. The first third is about narcissism. And as I broke it down, what each of them say, when you look at it, you can see they're all justifying narcissism as, oh, it's healthy. Oh, ambitious people have it. Yeah. Like they're, instead of the mental illness that it is, they're trying to say, oh, it's healthy. It's good. It's powerful. So they're spinning. So they're not denying, which is interesting because they know everybody calls Meghan Markle a narcissist. Every other, psychologist, therapist has said, yeah, Meghan's a narcissist. And she doesn't deny it. Their documentary here doesn't deny that she's a narcissist. They just try to spin it in a way that makes it a positive thing. All right, so that's the first third. So you got glamour post shots of Meghan when she was a working royal, and narcissism is just great and wonderful, and everyone's a narcissist anyways. All right, so that's the first third of it. So the second third of it is about the masking. And I pointed out that why are they covering masking? It's not like that's a big talking point, not like narcissism. But there are a lot of mask drop videos of Meghan because she does drop her mask so often, right? There's so many funny videos. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of disturbing as well. And it really shows her mental illness. In that you see over and over again, especially when she's interviewed by women, it seems, she drops her mask. She goes from all smiley to looking like she could kill the person. So that's a whole third of the documentary. And here's this section. They only had a few of them. So they had all of them commenting about the narcissism. On the masking, they had 3 of these paid for psychologists saying, well, everybody does masking. And then the last one said, oh, masking is used to hide her depression. So another aspect of this documentary is that these paid for psychologists went on only on the Oprah interview and the ITV interview with Tom Bradbury. So basically they went on Meghan's previous propaganda. So anything Meghan said, they take it as truth. There's no questioning it. So and they state things as if they were true, making sweeping assumptions like, oh, it's obvious Meghan was unhappy and she was depressed, severely depressed, and the royal family was so distant with her and unwelcoming. They just state this as fact, these things, without any proof of any sort. So very, obviously they admit in the beginning of the documentary that they're only going on these interviews. But they make these really disparaging statements about the royal family without backing it up with any evidence other than what Meghan said. So, I mean, it's obvious this was all, choreographed by Meghan, for Meghan, by whoever is doing this for her. And then, for example, they have a scene here where, where William and Catherine are asked, oh, is the royal family racist? And after that Oprah interview where Meghan accused them of racism, but then Harry denies it later. And Prince William in this clip says, no, we're very much not racist. These psychologists in this says, oh, Meghan, this must have made Meghan's blood run cold. Like making an assumption about how Meghan must have felt about it, even though Meghan's never talked about it, as far as I know. So what is this psychologist basing this on? She's saying, oh, she must have felt this way. So I'll just play it real quick here.
Comments were still to come.
Is the royal family a racist family, sir?
That questioning must have just made her blood run cold.
So you can see how ridiculous that is for these so-called objective psychologists. And then they speak in very, motherly tones. It's all like, oh, Meghan must have felt like this. And you can listen to the tone of the way they're speaking. It's all very, oh, well, her blood must have run cold from listening to that Prince William being questioned like that, even though they know that Harry and Meghan caused it to happen. So very manipulative, maneuvering with this. And again, you got to, for those of us who know the story, it's infuriating. But also, you have to be aware that there's going to be people who don't follow this story so closely who are going to believe this and believe that and not realize that Meghan caused all this for William to be questioned. And for this so-called psychologist come out of nowhere and say, oh, Meghan must have felt so horrible about that. Well, Harry and Meghan caused it and supported BLM and all that. Yeah. So you see this like psychological manipulation, gaslighting, whatever you want to call it, going on. I mean, this is just, it's very, very evil, very well funded. I mean, Meghan and Harry have had so many documentaries well funded from someone because, they got a lot of globalist backing here, in my opinion, because a lot of money and effort going into trying to make Meghan a politician, it seems. Okay, so we covered narcissism and masking, and now we're getting to the third part where it gets very much more political, and it shows, I believe, Harry and Meghan's firm backing from the globalists. So these experts here, this person here, I believe is a PR person, claims that Meghan stepping away, he's an editor at PR Week UK, lefty probably, no doubt. Well, he claims that Meghan and the royal family not coming to an agreement and Harry and Meghan leaving he felt it made the royal family look bad and not being multicultural enough. And it was immediately after Harry and Meghan left that the whole George Floyd thing blew up. And they go into that. They go into the whole George Floyd stuff. So what this has to do with Meghan Markle's mind, obviously nothing. This is political. And we know that the globalists were backing BLM, pushed all the major organizations and corporations, the public-private partnership, pushed BLM all over the world, everywhere, down everyone's throats, Marxist, communists, globalists backed. And Harry and Meghan were right there with it, with their, Snapper Pal and all the other, Fulani Ngozi and everyone else they work with. They're all BLM related. And I believe a lot of the Sussex Squad are also BLM related in the BLM from the same group, basically. So this basically, I think that this shows that the globalists, Clinton, Obama backing of Harry and Meghan, threatening the royal family to make Harry and Meghan, I assume, to be equal to William and Catherine, like co-queen, king and queen or something. And of course, they said no. And the BLM stuff blew up anyway. But then at one point, BLM did, they got BLM to officially speak out against the royal family and call them racist. But so that was a weapon the globalists were using against them. With Harry and Meghan, it appears that they really wanted Harry and Meghan in there as equals to Catherine and William to go with their New World Order somehow. So this was all connected. And again, I think it's about making Meghan a more political figure as well. And bringing up the divisiveness, these divisive narratives on the public's consciousness. But it's quite obvious that Harry and Meghan were with the BLM. They did interviews with them, talking about them, very active with things related to them, and using it as to attack the royal family. Now, of course, all of this at the time sort of eclipsed the fake baby, fake pregnancies, real baby possibly, but fake pregnancies for sure, of what Harry and Meghan were pulling on the public. And I hope you can see it. I hope it's not too small up there. It's upper left-hand corner there. I'm just flicking through the movie. And of course, her contentious little interview there with Oprah, like Piers Morgan fired. Just connecting it all together. So then after they cover the George Floyd riots and whatnot, they go into Meghan's interview, that famous scene where Meghan claimed that the royal family asked about Archie's skin color, and Oprah goes, "What?" And these experts, I think this is a PR guy, not a psychologist, but he said that he claims that it made the royal family look really bad, that Meghan made this accusation. So bringing the George Floyd and then Meghan right away bringing in Archie's race into it to connect the two. So they go on and on about this accusation Meghan made about the royal family asking about Archie's skin color, which we know there's never ever happened. But again, if you're not familiar with this case, you might think that it really happened. And here's another example of the paid-for psychologists assuming it's truth because Meghan said it. And then again, just like with the confronting Prince William and asking him if the royal family is racist, she says, "Oh, it must have made her blood run cold." So here, I'll play this clip real quick.
Questions and judging our unborn baby, such as the way that Meghan might have felt with that questioning, must have just made her blood run cold.
Comments were still to come.
Is the royal family a racist family, sir?
That questioning must have just made her blood run cold. Questions and judging our unborn baby, such as the way that Meghan might have felt with that questioning, must have just made her blood run cold.
Well, the questioning of her unborn baby must have made her blood run cold. So she's again assuming it happened, which it didn't. Meghan never heard anything. If it did, she claimed Harry is the one that heard it. Before this, another PR guy said that Meghan's Oprah interview showed what a phenomenal communicator she is. So they're all very much on Meghan's side. I mean, this is obviously a pro Meghan documentary. So everything is always, "Oh, poor Meghan. Oh, her blood must have run cold," asking about her unborn child. And that Oprah interview just shows she's a phenomenal communicator. They're all of it is all so pandering to Meghan and really nauseating stuff. So you can see why it's infuriating. But yeah, to have these paid for psychologists coming in and try to make it seem as if they're objective. And like I said earlier in an earlier video, there are points where they come out with the truth about things, pointing out like she's a narcissist, or they come out with things that are true. So it's sort of they're trying to really manipulate people here they put some of the truth out, but then they twist other things. And gaslight you with other things. So there's a mixture of truth and gaslighting going on here, interspersed with Meghan's glamour, video clips, mainly from the UK. Here's another one from the UK. They're not showing the one with her belly bump swinging back and forth in this dress, but only the glamorous shots. But it's really kind of interesting from a propaganda manipulation point of view, how they're going about this gaslighting of people with this Meghan Markle In the Mind of Meghan Markle documentary. Okay, so then they justify Meghan's abuse of the royal family via Oprah by, number one, by just assuming it happened, as Meghan said it, that everything she said is the truth. All the psychologists are saying, poor Meghan, she must have been so triggered by the royal family asking about her Archie's skin color, which never happened. But then they go into and say, well, the real problem is it triggered Meghan because it brought back all these childhood traumas that she suffered. So then they go into Meghan's biracial, childhood here with the Photoshop pictures of her, Doria, and Thomas Markle. Okay, so this next part is another really outrageous gaslighting where the psychologist claims that Meghan's mother was asked several times, not just once, but over and over, if she were the maid taking care of Meghan because Meghan was light-skinned. So as far as my understanding of that story was that only happened once, if it happened at all. I don't believe anything Meghan says anyways. But, Meghan has certainly not said this that it happened over and over again, from what I've heard. But there is so much out there. They put so much out there, but I pretty much listen to most of what Meghan's put out there. So let's see. This is the part here. It's like again and again, these psychologists. I'm not even going to play it. Who wants to play these psychologists? They're all just bought and paid for. But again and again, it shows that they're pushing these lies. Meghan Markle's lies are coming out of the mouths of these psychologists who are being portrayed as objective, is the bottom line. So it's actually a clever ruse of Meghan's PR here. So all of Meghan's lies. Okay, so here's the cleverness of the whole thing from a PR evil Meghan Markle perspective. Meghan Markle wants you to force everyone to believe her lies. You must believe she was really pregnant. You must believe they asked about Archie's skin color. You must. Now, nobody believes Meghan because everyone knows she's a liar. So so this is how they're trying to force her lies as truth. And they're doing it by paying off these psychologists who may or may not be real psychologists. I suspect some of them may be actors, quite frankly, but I don't know. I'm not doing all the research into them. But let's say they're real psychologists. It's not surprising that you get doctors, psychologists, whatever, who will sell themselves out for a paycheck. And I believe that's definitely what's happening here. And Meghan's got a lot of money backing her up. So they paid off these psychologists, and these psychologists are now stating Meghan's lies as truth. So everything Meghan has said, oh, she was severely depressed and almost killed herself. Oh, they asked about Archie's skin color. Oh, whatever lie you can think of that Meghan has put out, they're putting it out as the truth. And these psychologists, using their credentials, pushing Meghan's lies as truth. And their justification for it is, well, we're just going on Meghan's interviews on Netflix and ITV, it's all we have to go on. So they're pushing her lies as truth on that basis. But you see how slick this is? And again, if you're not someone who follows Harry and Meghan closely over the years and know what they're really about and everything, you're going to hear these psychologists saying this, and people are going to say, well, it must be true, right? The psychologists are saying it. So, yeah, this is quite potent, propaganda, really. They're being very clever with it. And again, all throughout this propaganda of these paid-for psychologists. I mean, many people aren't even going to think of that as happening. They're interspersing it with all these, glamour shots of Meghan, being Miss Wonderful. And then they even go to Rodney King. They got to bring that in. And again, they're believing Meghan's lie that she was there when she wasn't. Her father has said, whatever. That he took her to another part of the state. She didn't see anything, but she claims that she was there. She saw a tree burning and another live Meghan. So, I mean, it's quite, what's the most shocking thing is how much backing Meghan has. It's not shocking that she's such a liar. I mean, a lot of politicians are liars. All of them are, basically. But the fact that she's not, in a political position yet, and that she has such powerful backing to get these documentaries, to get all of this manipulation put out there. But I think it is worthwhile to analyze it in order to really understand how we're being manipulated. I mean, Harry and Meghan, if you've been following them and you know their story, they're the perfect case study for you to analyze their propaganda, because you can see where the lies and the truth are quite quickly. And you can see what they're doing, right? Putting her different, you got to be careful, even with the background statements and what is put in. There's so much editing and so much manipulation in this. Yeah, you can't really trust much of anything from Harry and Meghan. So then they go into Meghan's identity as being biracial, growing up, and also how she was forced to confront it, her blackness, because she married into a white royal family, and how difficult that was for her. And then it gets political, and it's poor Meghan. It must have been so difficult for her. And then they jump to this, clip where she's now on stage in South Africa, saying, "I'm here, I'm your sister," and very, very political again, portraying her as this thought leader and leading to politics. When here, the psychologist comes right out with the politics, and they talk about Meghan moving to California.
Californian reinvention.
This is an excellent shift for her into something that is about family values, that's about grassroots, that's about...
Right, there you go. Family values, grassroots. Wait a minute. Aren't you the psychologist? You're supposed to be analyzing Meghan's mind. Now she's her political spokesperson here. I mean, they were given a script, it looks like to me, for sure. And again, getting political, they talk about Meghan's homecoming to Nigeria. No questioning of the veracity of this either. Another lie they're pushing as truth. Oh, they're really pushing the self-proclaimed Nigerian homecoming. They're seriously pushing this as legitimate.
In that same position of power.
I interrupt you, but you have come back home.
So the psychologists, as we've seen, take Meghan's side 100% with everything. They assume she's telling the truth, that the royal family were racist and asked about Archie's skin color. And then these psychologists, proving how paid they are, say, oh, Meghan and Harry, leaving the family and moving to California and bashing the royal family and her family. That's family values and grassroots. So you can see how hypocritical these psychologists are being in just this documentary. But 100% Meghan Markle's side here. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here, and they're dropping their masks, the psychologists and PR people, and they're not even trying to pretend to be looking into Meghan's mind. Now they're just promoting her. So they're talking about her rebrand now, and just to give you a taste of it, here's a small sample of how these psychologists and experts all just, oh, Meghan's got such great ideas. Oh, she's such a great influencer. Here we go.
Stunts. How better to create the noise around it than turn to various powerful influencers on Instagram to be holding the jam, tasting the jam, holding it up and actually say, oh, I've got it.
This is an excellent shift for her into something that is about family values, that's about grassroots, that's about home, and I'm sure that
Of Meghan's identity continues. There is a Californian reinvention.
this is an excellent shift for her into something that is about family values, that's about grassroots, that's about home. It's very saleable. This is an excellent shift for her into something that is about family values, that's about grassroots, that's about home, and I'm sure that there
absolute mess from beginning to end.
Is she going to be an ambassador? Is she going to be a lifestyle influencer? I think these are the questions.
Is she going to be an ambassador or a lifestyle influencer?
A new market for her personal brand.
It was hard not to think you were watching an official royal tour as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were welcomed to the Nigerian capital today.
She did cut a figure that was a bit like a statesman, frankly.
So again, this is supposed to be a documentary about inside the mind, and it's all of Meghan's clips like this saying, oh, she's such a statesman on a royal tour, showing that it's, again, promoting her politically. So by the very end of this documentary, all these so-called objective psychologists just let the masks down, and they're just promoting the hell out of Meghan. So here you can see he calls her a hero of her own story. And then the psychologist comes in and says, oh, she's just so phenomenal. She's just so wonderful. I mean, they don't even try to seem objective.
I think she's someone who really sees herself as the hero of her own story.
Whatever Meghan chooses to do, her lifestyle.
I think Meghan is the most phenomenal and admirable work in progress. Part of her journey could actually be to embrace the fact that she's allowed to make mistakes. If she could give herself more permission to make mistakes and to be fallible and to be human, she might find that there was less pressure on her to present a version of perfection, and that could be transformative for her.
Well, so this went from, in the mind, understanding the mind of Megalodon, and at the end you have the psychologist saying how phenomenal and what a hero she is. And they talk as if they knew her. And the psychologist says, oh, poor Meghan, if only she could just allow herself to make mistakes. Like, what? I mean, these people are speaking like they know her. And of course, this is manipulation for the viewer, because, of course, this is all propaganda. So basically what they're trying to instill in your mind is, you're going to be so much nicer to Meghan and allow her to make mistakes, i.e. just overlook all the lies she's told. It's just oopsies and not her fault, really. It's everything, nothing's her fault. And you just have to be nicer to her and don't criticize her and point out her mistakes, is what they're saying to you by this psychologist, an alleged objective psychologist, saying, oh, she can just allow herself to make mistakes. It's absolute manipulative propaganda here. And they, like I said at the end, these so-called objective psychologists don't even try to hide it, what propaganda this is.
She's in this point of rebuilding and creating a life for herself. So I wonder if maybe the story is not totally over yet.
Oh yeah, that psycho bitch ain't going anywhere until she's taken out. Am I telling you? Oh my God, what a horror.